So, if you've been living under a rock for the last few days, you may have missed a new announcement that came out at, I believe it was MagicCon Amsterdam. And I believe that con is at the time of recording, is still going on right now. And they gave us a lot of new information. They gave us some information about Bloom Burrow. They gave us some information about the set that comes out after that, which was, what was it? Gloom something. It's a House of Horrors set. It looks kind of cool. But that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is the third thing that they announced, and it's a quasi-core set kind of situation. It's called Foundations. And this is not a core set. It's something different. It's something that is going to be standard legal for the next 5 years. It's going to be legal until 2029. And it's, from what I've seen so far, it's mostly like a set of reprints. And this set is aimed at new players, getting new players onboarded with the game, and kind of teaching people the ropes of Magic the Gathering and getting people onboarded, and getting people playing Standard, which is honestly great. Because Standard has been kind of suffering in these last few years, especially with the really hard push towards Commander. So when a lot of new people come to Magic, they think that Commander is the baseline way to play the game, and that's just not true. The game starts with Standard and then evolves into other formats from there. So I wanted to take a look at what Foundations is and what we can expect from this new quasi-core set. So I went ahead and I found this article that recently, it honestly kind of just went up earlier today. And I came across this and I wanted to share my findings with all of you. So this is from the website EtherHub. It's a pretty popular Magic news and articles kind of website. So saying Magic the Gathering Foundations set info spoilers. This is posted by an author named Geno Slug CS. And this is posted earlier today. So he says, in a sea of rapid-fire MTG products being released, Magic the Gathering is actually shaking things up with a unique set designed to welcome fresh faces to the game. Honestly, great. We love seeing new people coming to the game. There's no gatekeeping here. MtG Foundations offers a curated selection of cards alongside innovative, beginner-friendly products, creating a smooth onboarding experience unlike any other in Magic's history. Whether you're a seasoned player or just getting interested, MtG Foundations has something for everyone. Here's what you need to know. All right, well, let's go take a look at it. So we see MtG Foundations, the release date, it's going to be November 15th, 2024, so in a couple months here. Is a new product designed to help new players learn the game. It includes a curated set of cards, some new, some old, via a beginner box with pre-constructed packs to mix together for deck building and tutorials, and a separate starter collection of 350 supplement cards for further exploration. So what this sounds like to me is that you're going to get a jumpstart kind of situation to teach you how to play the game. And then there's the rest of the set that you'll get through booster packs or whatever that will help you bulk up your collection and get you started in playing Standard. So this is all good information to me. I like this. Beginner box. The beginner box comes with 10 packets. Each of these packets contains 20 cards inside each one. You'll also get 2 packets for each of Magic's 5 colors of mana. This box is designed, much like Jumpstart, to be mixed together to form playable decks. Okay, cool. I like that. It reminds me mostly of Jumpstart, which is a great tool for getting new people into the game. I really like this part right here, that you're going to be getting packs dedicated to colors of mana. So people can kind of choose their favorite play style and build beginner decks out of those packs. I like that a lot. That's a great idea. Unlike Jumpstart, though, the beginner box comes with a very detailed tutorial, and at least from my reading of the explanation, it has the capacity to offer a much more varied suite of decks for players to try their hand at offering dozens of games straight from the box. So what that's telling me is it means that there's a almost like scripted tutorial for players to go through. And there was a product like this way back in the 90s. There was this starter deck, kind of Jumpstart hybrid. It was kind of like, I believe they were called like dual decks, and it was a product called Zack and Kaz. It was 2 different decks. Each deck was 2 different colors, and they were designed to go against each other in a very scripted manner, meaning like the decks were stacked in a very specific way to show the different interactions and gameplay patterns that you can expect from a game of Magic. It was pretty interesting, if very, very basic, but basic is what you want for a new player experience. In a nutshell, Wizards of the Coast wants to give new players an on-ramp to Magic the Gathering, from the I am interested in Magic but don't know anything stage, all the way to the, oh, I've identified what I like to do, and I'm going to do more of that stage. Speaking of that next stage, that's where the starter collection comes in. Yeah, I like that. And this part right here, the I've identified what I like to do, and I'm going to do more of that stage. That's the stage where a player sees what they like about the game, and they've decided that they want to continue exploring and seeing what else you can do with the game. That's the point where you've got a new player hooked. Starter Collection, once players have thoroughly played through the Foundations beginner box and found what they like about Magic the Gathering, then they have the Starter Collection to look forward to. The Starter Collection contains 350 cards to help players expand on the decks, gameplay styles, colors, or mechanics they identify with most, all in a convenient way without having to worry about too big of a card pool. Again, smart. Like, it's a decent amount of cards. 350 is nothing to scoff at. And I imagine most of these cards are going to be very basic in their mechanics, so it's not going to scare away new players. Much like if you were to show a new player some of the new cards being printed right now, they might get scared away from the game entirely because of how wordy some of these new cards can be. Like entire paragraphs upon paragraphs of rules text on these new cards. I can definitely imagine people being scared away from the game at that point. Let's see. Magic the Gathering Foundations format legality. This is the part that's important to me. So it says, keeping with the spirit of accessibility, all cards, both new and reprinted in the Foundation set, are guaranteed to be legal in standard format until at least 2029. This is almost double the usual lifespan for a set in standard. If you're new to Magic the Gathering, I'll break this down some. Yes, absolutely true. This set is going to be legal for 5 years. The average lifespan of a set is 2 to 3 years, depending on what standard format you're looking at. Our current standard format is a 3-year rotation. This being available for 5 years means we're going to be playing with these cards for a very long time. Well, at least the cards that are standard competitive. Standard is a popular Magic the Gathering format where players can only use cards from the most recent sets, typically the last 2 years, but recently extended to 3. This ensures that players have a manageable sized card pool and a consistently evolving metagame that keeps the format fresh for players. Now, that's honestly what keeps me playing Standard. I really enjoy a rotating format that is always evolving. And I understand that there are some people that don't like it when they're told that they're not allowed to play with their favorite cards anymore. But honestly, for me, I prefer when cards rotate out of a format because it gives way for new strategies to develop and new ways to play. That's why I've always been a Standard player. Like, I've dabbled a little bit in some of the older formats like Modern or Explorer on Arena. extended when that was a thing back in the day. And they are fun formats to explore every now and then, but standard is really where I like to play. Let's see. This is significant for new and veteran players for a few reasons. For example, reduced investment risk. Knowing that Foundations cards will be legal for a longer period allows new players to invest in the products and their decks without worrying about the cards becoming obsolete too quickly. Pretty much what I was just talking about. Longer playtime with the same cards. Players can also enjoy playing their Foundations decks in standard events for a much longer time frame. This can be especially helpful as newer players develop their skills and build their card collection. I do agree with this. I agree with this statement 100%. Because like a new player just getting into the game, especially one that like isn't coming to Magic from a different card game and already understands how rotations work, a new player being told that they can't play with their favorite cards, that has the potential to be a quit moment for a lot of players. So this is smart. I like this. Available products. Magic the Gathering Foundations contains most products you'd expect from a regular set, plus the aforementioned new beginner box and starter collection. Here's a list of the available products and the prices that we know so far. Okay, so we got play boosters, collector boosters, of course, because you have to have collector boosters. Jumpstart boosters. This is going to be like the important thing for new players. You'll be able to get themed booster packs that you can create decks out of, like right out of the pack. And so that'll be great for new players. We got bundles. Beginner box of 200 cards. It's going to be $29.99. Imagine the beginner box will be the pack that has like packs of cards that are like dedicated to specific colors. And then we have the starter collection, which is 350 cards for $59.99. So really big pack. And here we have a few of the cards that were spoiled in Amsterdam. And these are a few reprints, and I think this card right here, Anthem of Champions, has not been seen before. At least I haven't seen it. So right off the bat, we have Omniscience. I've heard from a few players that this is a card that's going to make people very worried, especially if this card is in standard for 5 years. 7 colorless and 3 blue mana, you get an enchantment that reads, you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana costs. Really heavy mana cost, but there are ways to cheat this into play in standard, specifically in Esper colors. We have 9 Lives Familiar. It is a 1/1 for 3 mana. It's a cat. It says this creature enters with 8 revival counters on it if you cast it. When this creature dies, if it had a revival counter on it, return it to the battlefield with 1 fewer revival counter on it at the beginning of the next end step. So this is a great card for either if you need a chump blocker for like a long period of time, or if you need something to sacrifice over and over and over and over, this is a great target for that. Being able to sacrifice the same one card 9 times, that's pretty cool. I like that. Anthem of Champions. This is really interesting because this really messes up design space, because this is an Anthem that only costs 2 mana. The majority of Anthems in the game cost a minimum of 3 mana. And this one being only 2 mana means that other Anthems that are designed in the same space, not necessarily in the same colors, but while this is in standard, all other Anthems are going to be judged by this card going forward. So this is going to be very interesting to see how other sets get developed after this hits live. Day of Judgment. This is Wrath of God with a different name. It's 2 colorless and 2 white. Destroy all creatures. Sorcery. Yeah, this is just Wrath of God. It is another board wipe in white. Every set has at least one of these. Most of them come with was it circumstances or hoops to jump through to wipe the board. This one is just very simple. Pay 4 mana, wipe the board. No frills, very simple. And then last one right here, this one has been causing a big stir because in the majority of Standard for like the last few years, there has not been a single 1 mana dork in Standard. The cheapest mana dorks around have always been 2 mana, like 1 colorless and 1 green, and usually they have circumstances surrounding them. This one's very simple. It's just 1 mana for a 1/1 creature that adds a single green to your mana pool. So like, this is one of the most simple, most bare bones cards to have ever existed. But an effect like this has not been in Standard for a very long time. So this coming into Standard and staying in Standard for 5 years is definitely going to shake things up and quite possibly bring green to the forefront as a major competitor going forward. So I'm really excited for this card specifically. This card, honestly, is probably going to get me to play a lot more green. Not going to lie. I'm going to be playing a lot more green when this hits Standard. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what their frequently asked questions are, and there aren't a whole lot, but we'll go through them. When does MtG Foundations come out? Foundations launches on November 15, 2024, in a few months. How much does Foundations cost? The beginner box, costs $29.99, and the starter collection costs $59.99. Traditional booster packs and bundles will also be available at standard MTG pricing. So you can expect booster packs to cost like $3 to $4. Can I use Foundations cards in standard format play? Yes. Foundations cards are guaranteed to be legal in standard format until at least 2029. Barring any bans, but we'll see what gets banned out of this set. Again, we've only seen 5 cards. We don't know what else is going to be in the set. What's the difference between the beginner box and the starter collection? The beginner box is designed as a true introduction with pre-constructed decks and a tutorial. The starter collection offers a wider variety of cards to build upon what players learned in the beginner box. So imagine that to be like a really big booster pack. Okay, and that is the entire article. So my thoughts about this specifically is, one, I think this is a fantastic idea. This is a great product and is going to do so well at getting new people into the game and potentially keeping those people into the game. I'm really excited to see how well this set does at revitalizing standard, like paper standard, like going down to your LGS standard. This is going to do great, and I'm very, very excited for this. As for the cards involved, again, we've only seen 5 cards. These could be the best 5 cards out of the entire set, or they could be the worst. We don't know. We have to wait until the new cards start getting leaked out, and then we can start making judgment calls. But as it is right now, I like it. I like it a lot. As far as the 5-year staying point, I think that's a little bit long. I think after 2 years, we're going to be begging for this set to rotate. At least some of us will. Because the cards are going to get stale. And these cards being in standard for so long is going to warp the design space that the developers can use to create new cards to inject into standard. So that part has me a little bit worried. The extended stay has me worried. But as far as getting new people into the game, I am very excited for that. I do like that they are doing starter decks and like jumping on points for new players. Being able to have players come in and teach themselves how to play the game without an outside source is really strong. I like that a lot. Will I buy into this? On Arena, I probably will buy into it just to get the majority of like the cards for my collection. In Standard, paper, Maybe it depends on what all gets released, and at the very least I probably will pick up the $60 350 card pack, because I think that is a pretty good value, especially if there's like a lot of good rares and mythics that come in this set. So overall, I'm pretty excited for it, and I am very interested to see how this reshapes Standard going forward, and is this something that they're going to stick with for the rotating future? 5 years is a long time for a product to remain in Standard, so we will see if this pays dividends for Wizards of the Coast, or if this ends up just being another mistake. And I really hope that it's the former and not the latter. So that is it for today's video. What do you think? Are you excited for this? Do you think this is going to be a good thing for Standard? Or do you think this is just another mistake from a cash grab hungry Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro? So let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to see more discussion-based videos like this, let me know. Hit a like on the video, maybe even subscribe if you want to. And that will tell me if you want to see more discussion-based videos like this, or if I should just shut up and go back to the gameplay videos. Okay. Until next time, you take care of yourselves.